Hello, it's Friday. We're focused on Europe. Welcome to 5 Things EU edition. Alex, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Excited about NRF Europe next week.
Only a few days until we're all going to be congregated in your home country, feasting your fabulous cuisine, your awful traffic. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. Last year, the weather was fantastic. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. But anyway, only 2 days left or 3 days left. When you said you're coming out on what day?
Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay. Well, I'm so excited. I'm going to be there from Monday.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
I'm
intense.
really excited. But it's looking to be, it's going to be a fantastic event. With that, let's get straight into this. And I think you've got a fantastic news story to kick us off.
Yes. So actually, I'm gonna start this one with a question for you, Alex.
Okay.
Have you ever shopped for secondhand DIY items online, like
No.
Vinted or Marketplace?
No. And I buy a lot of tools and I buy them new.
Oh well, so that's it's a good moment to switch
Yeah.
because I'm gonna talk about the new retailer called Qijco. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's also called the Vinted of DIY. The company started in Belgium and has been active in France for about a year now. So this is a platform that connects individuals and professionals to buy, sell or rent tools, including building materials, gardening equipment, and even home appliances, whether new or secondhand. And the reason why I chose this article today is because they are going one step further with adding a new service, which is a repair service. So user can not only now resell or rent the DIY equipment, but also have it repaired. So it could be done either by users or by professionals as well, which is very interesting. I think it's a great additional way to give equipment a second life and to strengthen the circular economy in the DIY and home renovation sector. So
I love it. And I think and I've heard this before because a lot of the times people have said, most of the time when you buy one of these, imagine a drill, you use it once and then it's sat in your garage or in your, wherever you keep your garage. So wherever you keep your tools. And so I think for a younger generation that doesn't potentially want to go and spend large amounts of money on DIY equipment, it makes so much sense. So I will investigate.
yeah, please do. Stop buying you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you love DIY and you do this every weekend.
I don't love DIY. My wife loves DIY. I am just a worker. So I have all of the tools, everything. I went and bought a laser straightening thing, which is amazing for when you're putting shelves up. Anyway, this is not the DIY show.
You're a lucky man. And
Also-
the company, just say it was founded by the entrepreneur, Brussels-based Marine Emery. This company was born out of the sharp rise in construction material costs since 2020. And so the way it works is that sellers can list items for free.
Yeah.
And buyers or renters pay a 5% commission with the option as well to meet face-to-face in order to avoid these fees.
Yeah.
They also have a mobile app to make things easier, and they have plans to roll out their services across Europe. So really excited to see how it's going to roll out in the future.
I might do this, right? Because I'm looking at this and thinking in like 4 or 5 rentals, I've paid for the drill. Might be a little good enterprise for me.
Yes.
If the retail podcast doesn't work out, I'll go into hiring. Moving on, Kering. So Kering delay. Reuters are reporting that Kering delays full Valentino acquisition to 2028 amongst their debt concerns, which in the world of luxury, we're seeing a lot of transformation due to the pressure from the consumer, due to the pressure from other market, and the Chinese shopper slowing down in its consumption of European luxury brands. And Kering are the owners of Gucci, which has been suffering recently. And as you can see, Reuters are reporting that Kering's debt stands at 9.5 billion euros, impacting its acquisition plans. So I don't think they've called it off. They've just said that they're going to put it back, as I think they need to look at their financing and how they get things in shape. But Kering is a huge luxury house with lots of luxury brands. And I don't know if this is a shape of things to come. Are we moving into an era where the luxury market is reshaping and reforming? Maybe we are. Moving on.
So this next topic is about a brand that you may know called Petit Bateau. It's a famous French children's family clothing brand founded in 1920, and it was just bought by the American investment group Regent, which also owns Dim, the French underwear brand. And this is part of a wider trend in France lately, where iconic French brands like, for example, Nu, Carambar, or even Doliprane, the medicine, have ended up under foreign ownership. And this is the case of Petit Bateau now. So what is going to happen to them now? So they will still have their factory and logistics sites in France, in Troyes, more precisely. Troyes is a city in northeast France.
Yeah.
And most of its employees will remain in France, and sales hopefully will grow slightly thanks to the e-commerce. But now the biggest decisions will be made abroad. And even though the brand stays French in its heart, being owned by an American group could change its strategy and identity over time. So I'm very curious about what's going to happen. But on the other hand, I don't think a foreign ownership is always bad, because Petit Bateau could have struggled or even disappeared if no one came in. So it now has a chance to expand globally while staying a bit of the French brand, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's a model that we've seen in CPG, right? Where brands that have they started in 1893. So, I mean, it's an incredible story. And obviously it gets to a point where they are probably fantastically ready for global expansion because of the heritage they've got, but they just probably don't have the money. And so it'll be interesting to watch. I think when it's done right, it's great for the brand, it's great for the investors, but it depends on how it's executed. It all comes in. That story is on the Fashion Network, just in case you're watching this and you can see. So please, I'll put the links in the show notes. Go to the Fashion Network for the full story. Staying with Reuters again and luxury, Giorgio Armani will instruct to gradually sell fashion brand or seek an IPO. Now, it's interesting why they're doing this at this time in terms of what's happening, as we just said with the story, but with the late fashion designer John instructing his heirs to sell 15% stake in the Italian fashion house. 18 months later, transferred an additional, and you can see here, additional 30% to 54% to the same buyer between 3 and 5 years after his death, according to the will reviewed by Reuters. And it's an alternative to the initial public offering, which I'm not a fashion connoisseur, so I can't talk about how relevant Giorgio Armani is beyond its traditional, where it's done really well. And again, is this a brand that we've seen that could potentially soar to new heights, or is this a brand that sort of had its day and maybe fading? And this is a way to look at how they're going to inject capital into this brand to see what's going to happen. Again, I'm not an expert in this area to be able to say, is it going to go one way or the other? But for me, it's more of an interesting statement of another luxury brand looking at the way that it's going to structure itself over the next 5-10 years. And we can only watch the story. Again, this is on Reuters. If you want, the link will be in the notes. And finally,
moving on to grocery retail, and more specifically retail media. And so Auchan and have just announced a new alliance. And for context, Auchan is one of France's biggest supermarket and hypermarket chains. And Les Mousquetaires is a French retail group best known for its Intermarché supermarkets.
Yeah.
And this is unusual. The two groups are now combining their retail media businesses. So both Valiuz and Infinity Advertising to create what they call the European leader in the field. So they will cover more than 10,000 stores across 6 countries.
Wow, yeah. I can see Leroy Merlin is here as well. So home improvements as well.
Exactly, with a strong digital audience.
Yeah.
And this move shows how quickly retail media is consolidating in Europe. Auchan and Intermarché clearly want to rival Carrefour and Publicis.
Yeah.
Publicis is quite big in that field. And so the battle is heating up. And it's clear that nowadays retailers don't just want to sell groceries. They also want, a slice of the advertising market. So it's interesting to see. And yeah, this is unusual to see an alliance like that. So I'm really looking forward to see how it's going.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because in the UK version of this show, I covered Morrison's and Instacart. And Instacart is a network of retail media for grocery in the US. And obviously they have a trolley that has a screen on it. But Morrison's is the first UK retailer, and for Instacart is the first outside of the US deploying this. And this is driven by, again, how do they generate revenue from CPG companies? So this is super, super interesting. And the fact that it's across Europe as well, it's not just in France. It's where was it? It was like in Spain, in Italy. There it is. France, Belgium, Italy, Poland, Spain, and Portugal. So this is what a big network that they're creating. So, well, really interesting to see. Really good. Okay, with that, I will see you next week at NRF.
Yes, in person.
Yeah, in person, finally. Well, actually, I think I saw you in April in person.
Yes.
But now I get to see you again in Paris. So it's wonderful having someone who's local, because I'm sure you're going to take me to all the coolest retail hotspots in NRF. I mean, it's like outside. So, okay, Alex, until next week. Look forward to
Yes, until next week. Yes, thank you. Bye.